Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. You are looking at the incredible, the amazing, once upon a time, state-of-the-art tech sewing machine from the Necchi company, pronounced Necchi. These were made in Pavia, Italy. And this is the Supernova Ultra model, circa around 1960 or so. Today, I wanted to show you all how these machines are threaded. Now, you should look for, if you don't already have, a owner's manual. That way, you can quickly check to see how all sorts of things, where to oil the machine, as I've shown in videos, and then also how to thread it. But I thought I would demonstrate in the video how to thread the Necchi. The first thing you should do with any vintage sewing machine, whether it's this one or any other, is always remember when you're going to thread the upper thread of your machine, the first thing to do is to take the lever behind your machine and lift your presser foot. Always, always do that, okay? Because when the presser foot is down, tension has been applied to the tension discs in your tension assembly. And if you thread your machine with the tension disc squeezed, it can really cause issues with your thread tension. Now you might say, well, I've always done it this way and I got away with it. Well, maybe you did. But again, word to the wise, always do this. It'll be in your manual, but it's easy to forget. Again, particularly for those of you who also have modern machines, because the machine either beeps at you, yells at you, and tells you to stop. But back in the day, you needed more software in your head to operate things. Okay, so I have this is the owner's thread. It's on a wooden spool. Not only do we have a vintage machine, we've got vintage thread spool, nice and heavy with the wood. Okay, I'm going to put it here. You can use either one of these, but I'll just put it here. Now, this machine, you'll notice that I already have my take-up arm in the up position. That's where you want that. I'm going to come across, and what you're going to see, I'm going to turn the machine, because this machine has, you'll occasionally see this on some of the Japanese machines, but Necchi did it. And what do we see here? This is a thread guide with 3 different holes. And this was actually this is a domestic sewing machine, and this feature you would often find on industrial machines. So you can come over and you can, the manual may give you different ways to do this. You can simply use one of the holes there, as I just did. If I can get a hold of the thread there, and then pull it down. Or you can also sometimes go back, like you can go back toward the spool on, say, the bottom hole there, okay? Different machines will give you different ways to do this, and they may have had different reasons for it. Now, I'm pivoting the machine again. Once you have seen something like a video like this, you don't have to pivot your machine. I'm doing this to make sure it shows on the camera, because everything I'm doing behind the cam. So I'm having to make sure that that you can see what I'm doing and I can see what I'm doing. All right. So this machine has something that a number of machines do. The Singers would eventually have it, many of them. And what is that? I call it a thread helping. It's like a little chrome tongue. I know that sounds weird, but let me show you. It's a piece of steel, and it's very smooth, and it's sort of angled. It sort of slopes back. So when you have your thread, and you hold the thread, and just light tension, you don't have to hold it extremely taut, but you want to have some tension. I basically got some light tension up here so I can control the thread. I'm going to put the thread there, and I'm just going to swing it in, and that way you shouldn't have to guess where the discs are, because if you get behind the disc and you don't get between the discs, well, that's a problem. But that's why this is here. So we should be okay. All right. So now pivoting once again, what am I going to do? I am simply going to come upward, and I am going to have to zoom back out. So I'm going to come up, and what am I doing? I am literally coming up around, and then you will feel a little click. And what is that click? Well, let's get a little closer and I'll show you. You didn't see it, but you will feel it. There is the check spring sitting there, just waiting for you to bring that thread around. Now let me show you. You guys see, well, see if you see this. This is the check spring right there. It's very difficult to see. I don't even know if it's going to show up on the camera for you. I'll give you a better zoom here, and let's see if we can. You won't have to see it this close, right? So now remember, once you have this, there we go. You can see it. You can see the machine is now under tension because that check spring is there, right? I'm pulling very gently. It looks like I'm, don't pull on your check spring violently at all. Okay, so there it is, right? So how did that work? I'm going to do it again, and you don't pull your thread out backwards. No, no, no. Don't ever do that. So what am I doing? Let's zoom back out. I will simply cut the thread here, and then I will, to get rid of the thread that's in the tension disc, pull it in the direction you were putting it through the discs. Don't ever pull it backwards. That's a bad idea. All right, so let's come back. I am coming down with my thread, okay? And I am hitting, remember that tongue, that little chrome tongue? I've hit that, so I know I'm in the discs. And then I'm going to come around. And as I come around, the way this tension disc was designed, it's not unlike others, but it's hidden. You can't see it behind that dial. So notice when I'm pulling the thread up, okay, I'm going to give even maybe a little bit more zoom here. Now how macro we can get here with the shot and still be able to see what we're doing. All right, so I think that will work. Now you can probably see the check spring, but watch what happens. As I pull the thread up, it's going to glide along this edge, along this edge, this metal edge here. So you don't have to really steer it. You just pull, and watch what happens as the thread comes around the edge. Boom! It's going to come up, and it's living in a little. I guess the best way to describe this would be a valley. a little. Let's see, get in the right spot there. Okay. So as the thread came around, it ended up in this little space there, a little valley in that piece of steel. Now, this is not, again, very different from the way most tension assemblies work, but I'm showing this to you so you can see it. Because when it lives in that valley, it has automatically now connected to the check spring, right? Because we know the thread is now going to go up to the take-up arm. And, some machines are kind of wonky. You have to kind of help them get the check spring lined up. But this is Necchi's way of saying, hey, just take the thread around and we'll set it up for you. That was kind of nice of them in 1960 to do that. All right, now let's change our angle. I'm going to lower the camera because we now need to touch other areas of the machine. When you're threading the upper thread of a sewing machine, you end up finding that you go up and down, and I want to make sure that because of how close I need to be with the camera that you can see this. So that's why I'm having to change positions a lot, but step by step, okay? So now we're making, remember we make that letter J, we came down, we're coming up, and now I'm going to go from the left toward the right, and I'm going to thread the take-up arm. Some take-up arms have a nice little slit that helps you to get in there, but no, not here. There, what? You have to thread it. It's not as hard as threading a needle, thankfully. And so this will not, for those of you who sew, you won't be, this will not be a great surprise to you that you have to thread the take-up arm. All right. Now what I'm noticing here is I've got some, different levels of tension. Now, you'll notice that when I came up here, I put the thread through the one hole and then I came back to the other one. That added tension. That may be too much, right? So if it is, you can simply rethread and just come through the one hole and then come straight down, okay? So don't, if you do that, it's like, hey, what's going on here? Why is my machine so hard to pull? Why am I getting, because your tension has to be not too tight, not too loose. All right, now what are we doing? We're going to come through and we're going to hit this thread guide. How did we do it? How did I just do it? So you got the thread and you're trying to get the thread in there, right? Come right behind that clip, right? And there it is. You are actually in the thread guide. All right. Now we're going to come down. We have more thread guides to hit. So let's lower the cam. Once you learn how to thread your machine, whether it's this one or any other one, it's not going to create it's not going to take you this long, right? You'll kind of have it down with muscle memory. All right, so now what's left? There are no thread guides hiding on the inside, right? So if you can't see this, you can open the side door if you need to. But what are we doing? What are we trying to do? We're trying to hit this thread guide right back here in the back, because this machine threads from the left towards the right. If you have a new machine that threads from the front to the back, you've got to switch your mind, because if you try to install your needle and then thread it front to back, you're not going to get sewing out of your machine. Okay, so we're going to come back, and there's a little thread guide that sits right here. All right, and I have just gotten that thread guide set up. Now what I'm noticing is, I've got a lot of tension here, so it could be that sewing machine companies, Singer did this on their Slantomatics. They would tell you to thread the machine one way, but then they would have other options for threading it, okay? Because now I'm down here to 2, and I've still got some. We're going to try it like this, and if it doesn't want to form a stitch, or if it's cranky, I'll go back and take that out. So now that I have the last thread guide threaded, and you will often see it right above the needle. Now the thread needs to go from the left to the right. It's not as easy to see. Those of you who have vintage machines know this. Newer machines, it's a little easier to see. So what I do is I take my little flashlight, and that helps me see the eye of the needle. And I don't know what size needle the owner has in this. It may be 14 or 16, something like that. We'll close that. Now, what are we doing? We're going to get our bobbin thread up from underneath. So we'll pull. There it comes. It's a black colored thread. That's useful. That way, looking for something to grab a hold of it with. All right, our bobbin thread is up and ready. The green thread, it's a little stiff. So we're going to try this, and I haven't plugged the machine in yet, by the way. So I'm going to, we will find out if in fact it's okay to use this. There's a reason this is here and why it had 3 different holes. Sometimes you get to pick the angle of the thread. The sewing machine companies were not always totally clear about this. So we'll take a piece of fabric, just a scrap piece, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I've gotten a little scrap piece, I think this is a remnant from an old pillowcase or something. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we want to do is decide what kind of stitch we're going to test. Normally, when I begin to start looking at how a machine is forming its stitch, I want to start on the longest straight stitch that I can set up. And that's just what I normally do. So the first thing to do is let's get our needle centered, right? So it's now in its center position. That's kind of a default many of you will use. And we have over here, we have 0 zigzag or wide zigzag. So I want to leave it at 0. But of course, in order to ensure that happens, I'm going to move my little controller there that locks in the lever for zigzag, just to make sure. Now normally, sometimes the spring tension is enough to keep it still. You will find with heavy fabrics it will sometimes want to start wiggling away, so you lock it in this way. All right, so let's see. Now this is sort of a dark blue fabric. I don't think the bottom thread, I should be able to see it in this light. I'm gonna get my tills back there. Just hold on to them lightly, and of course get my presser foot down And I'm basically looking, I have, by the way, I have my stitch length on 4, which is the longest. And I just want to see what the machine is going to do or not. And I'm turning it, again, I'm turning it by hand. I haven't even plugged it in yet. And let's just see. I'm going to take this out and see what it did for me. All right. You'll see the top stitch. Top stitch looks pretty good. What does the bottom look like? Not as easy to see, but it looks fine. However, I'm still not convinced that I want this extra hole here, because every time you have a thread guide point for your thread, what does it do? It basically, adds tension, right? And it's all about controlling that tension. So, in the next video, I will thread the machine again with just using one of these holes. I believe the owner had it set up that way originally. And we'll see if that makes a difference in terms of, again, I've only got 2 here. Many machines will let you do 3 or 4, even for what we call mid-level tension for middleweight fabrics. That's a very ballpark description. So anyway, if you are still interested in seeing this machine, if it will do differently without that difference, because some of you have probably wondered this, come back and I will make a video and I'll actually show you. I'll rethread the machine again, just the upper thread. And again, it's helpful as you go and you thread a machine over and over again. Again, it will be second nature to you, and you won't even need to watch this video to thread your Necchi machine, although you may have other reasons. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next installment.